So if you're listening to the podcast right now, we need for you to do one thing, and that's pick up your phone and go to the website, www.tobesingleornottobe.com. We just launched it not long ago, and there are so many exciting things in store that we have coming. So we need for you to go to the website, sign up for our mailing list, make a purchase, read the blog, do whatever, but just make sure you do it right now. We're so excited about all that we have in store, and we're so excited to have you on board for all things To Be Single or Not To Be. So again, www.tobesingleornottobe.com. Make sure you go and visit today. You are listening to the podcast To Be Single or Not To Be by Shana Montana, a podcast where we talk about the single life, dating, and relationships so you can make a decision at the end of each episode to be single or not to be. So today's topic is, should you love your man more than he loves you? And I wanted to discuss this topic because it's an age-old saying that I've heard many people say in the past, but no one ever really gives a reason as to why. So I wanted to discuss it to see if the statement holds any real value or if it's one that we just need to put to bed altogether and move on from forever. So that said, I wanted to bring on some guests who I know could add some value to this topic. So on today's episode, we have Morgan of the Around and Within podcast. Say hi to the listeners.
Hi, everyone. I'm Morgan Bullock. I'm a life coach, speaker, author, and poet, and your soon-to-be favorite homegirl. I bring positivity and optimistic perspective through my podcast, Around and Within, and my blog and social media and YouTube channel, all found on my website at morganbullock.com.
Wonderful. And we are so excited to have you on. And we also have, I know my name is Shana, but we have another Shana in the house all the way from DC. So say hello to the listeners.
Hey, everybody. It's your favorite homegirl, Shayna's homegirl, Shana.
I love it. Shana and Shana. So we're going to get right to it, ladies. So let's kick this thing off with, what are your opinions on, do you think your man should love you more than you love him, and why or why not?
Who going first?
You can. Kick it off, sis. Kick it off.
You can.
All right. I'm going to kick it off by saying this. I think initially, I think your man should love you more than you love him.
I like that idea.
Initially, right? Because to pique interest, and before we recognize what needs are met, I think there needs to be a little bit more interest or a little bit more love from the man's side, mainly because women, we just natural nurturers. Yep. We love extensively to things that we might not even care about to the fullest extent. Whereas a man, if they don't care about something, they not giving it their all.
Not at all.
So I think before we, in a relationship, I think it takes time to recognize okay, what needs does this person meet in my life? And so in the initial stages of a relationship, I think the man needs to look just to balance it out.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. I know, because soon as you said nurturers, I was sitting here thinking we will nurture a man to death.
Yeah,
to death.
And sometimes we do it too early, too soon. We do it before the man, like you just said, is even tapped into us. So I like that perspective. That initially, I think the love, the energy, all that needs to be a little bit more on his side. What do you say, Shana?
I think for me, I usually am the person who plays hard to get, and I think there's something wrong with that, because in my relationships, I've experienced that the guy he's consistent about pursuing me, and then once he gets me, and then I start liking him more than he likes me, or it might seem balanced, but then I love too hard probably, and then he'll pull back.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait a minute. I liked you when you were a Shaee. So, I gotta conquer you. So I don't know. It's just been different in my journey.
But that makes sense too, because I like that. Like, it's almost like effects of a man trying to get you. And you're right, that sometimes when they're chasing you, they're more inclined to do what you want, be attentive, be there for you. And then once they capture you, so to speak, it's like, what happened to all that good energy you was putting in before? Right. So I think that it's a great perspective for us to have going forward. And yeah, I think we have to. I think the chase is good. I think playing hard to get is a little good. And I think that if we're able to get the man to see, I guess, the value that we hold before we see it in him, then you kind of win in that situation. So then that leads me right to the next thing. I was going to say, what the value that it holds for the man to love you more than you love him. I think that comes down to being able to commitment. I think that goes to commitment, because if you, as women, I would say we tend to maybe jump in sometimes too hard, too quick, too easy. Yeah. And if the man doesn't value us the same way, then that commitment is not going to look like what we want it to look like.
Right.
Even on the front end. What do you think about that, Morgan?
I think I think if we jump in really quickly, or even if we don't jump in really quickly, I think it boils down to like needs, right? Like if we jump in really quickly, but I am bringing so many of your needs to the forefront, and I make it so that, or not even that I make it, I'm just naturally everything that you kind of need. Right, you're like, I really can't, I really, right. A lot of us are. But maybe even what they need in that time. Right. I think it would be really hard for a logical man, right? We're not talking about men that are illogical and don't really need to be, they need to work on themselves at the moment. Right. But like a logical man who's here for a relationship, I think they would be able to recognize like, okay, this person is really meeting my needs. And while she's all in, I can't help but to be all in as well. Yeah. And so I think they would be able to see the value to someone that is compatible with them and meeting all of their needs. And sometimes I think that we might go all in, but we're not meeting the needs that they have at that time, whether it be communication needs, whether it be whatever, like encouragement need, whatever the needs that they have at that time. And we're just like, but I'm showing you the love. I'm showing you everything
what we think is
I
the right
think that you
love.
need. Right. What I think that you need. And they're like, but that ain't really it right now.
Yeah, that ain't what I'm looking for.
And so they don't see the value that we feel like we're producing and that we're bringing to their lives. And I don't know if we discussed that as much. I think we're always like, I'm doing all of this.
Yeah. I'm bringing you something to eat. I'm doing this. I cook for you.
I'm doing this.
I picked up your dog. I did this.
Right. So, yeah. Don't recognize.
In our mind, just doing things, we think that it's like filling their love tank. And sometimes it's not. And that's why we end up sometimes in situations where we really aren't valued, even though I put in 100% effort. My effort was really displaced because it wasn't the effort that we were looking for. Or the flip side of that is we really haven't had communication to even talk about.
And that's what I was going to say. I think it boils down to communication. I think a lot of men generally are poor communicators.
In general.
And I think that you should never go into any situation, friendship, relationship, thinking that if I do X, Y, and Z, that this person will appreciate me, value me, or put me on a pedestal. Yeah. Because if you go in with those intentions, it usually backfires.
Yeah, it never works out that way. And I think, like you said, with men being poor communicators in general, I always say you have to talk early and often, and you have to do it on a consistent basis, because what we talked about Monday, hopefully they even remember it by Wednesday, right? And hopefully they can apply it by Friday.
Right.
So you have to make sure and then by Saturday you have to remind them so what was it we went over on Monday? You have to
pop quiz,
right? But do you all think that it may have an adverse or negative effect if someone, in the relationship loves one person more than the other loves them? What's the negative side of that happening?
I think it all boils down to what you value.
Okay.
And I think it's about loving yourself first.
Right.
Both sides. And just knowing or trying to reassess what am I getting out of this relationship? What are we building?
What
What is the
value?
goal? Couple goals.
Yeah.
And if you're moving forward in that, I think you can't give the love that you need without loving yourself. I think it goes down back to self.
Yeah, it always does. It's kind of like they say, I've read this a few times, but we tend to love people the way that we want to be loved.
Yes.
But like to Morgan's point earlier, that may not be the love that they're looking for. So
love
I think,
languages.
yeah, it's so important.
I totally agree. As someone, I have been through a divorce, and in that previous relationship, I was giving the love that I thought that he needed, based on my assumptions.
Right.
And there were so many times where I gave so much of myself that I lost myself.
Yeah.
In trying to love him more than I loved myself. And I think that's where it becomes detrimental. The lack of communication, the lack of understanding what this person is really looking for, can leave you in a space where if you don't love yourself enough to say, okay, wait a minute, how do I need to navigate this? Do I have the capacity to love him in the way that he needs to be loved? Do I have the ability to give him the things that he needs? And if not, make that decision, that really difficult decision, so that you can love yourself wholeheartedly, and then have some left for someone else because they can pour into you.
I love that. Have some left for someone else, because it can be exhausting when you are doing that stuff. And then, like you said, making the hard decision of knowing that I actually may love you the way that you want to be loved, and you still may not be okay with this. Like it may still be something that's not coming together.
Right.
Or working, and we still don't work out. So you can't, you can't bank on that I do, like you said, XYZ. And even if I have the capacity to love you the way that you want, and some left for myself, and it still work out. So
you can't pour into a cup that has a hole at the bottom.
Amen. Oh, yes.
That is a word.
Yes. That
has a hole at the bottom. So do you all think also, when it comes to the what I call, imbalance, if you find yourself in this predicament that we're talking about, do you all think this just comes down also to like a lack of commitment? Because I think that ultimately, say we're talking about not the first 3 months, say you 6 months into this, and you're finding that you've communicated somewhat, things may be looking upstream, and you still feel like, because that doesn't necessarily have to always be love, because you can just still find that you are giving more than you are receiving, that you're pouring more into that person than they are pouring into you. Do you all think that comes down to the person just may not be committed or may not be your person?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt. I think that you can try to give them I'm going to communicate what my needs are, and if you don't change within the next 30 days, 90 days, then it's like a job. It's like a job. You on probation.
Right. Right. Yes.
So if you can't pull this together, then I'm out.
Yeah.
And I think as women, we have to be honest with ourselves, what we need out of relationships, what our intentions are.
Yeah.
And do you have a plan? Like, what are you going to do? Because, I'm not going, and just I think continuing to reassess what you want out of the relationship.
Right, you have to.
Even in a marriage, I feel, I've never been married, but I feel every year you should have goals that you want to achieve together. You
every month.
Right.
Hello.
Assess, like, what are we doing? What do you need? Like, sitting down, having those honest conversations.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's like, well, man, I need you not to come to bed with a head wrap on.
Yeah,
and
it may be that.
Like, I need you, I need you to switch it up, or I need you to, just, or cook more, or, who knows? But I think you constantly have to have those conversations.
Relationship check-in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It reminds me of so I used to play softball. I actually went to Florida State and played softball. And when it comes to teams, like, I think of relationships like a team.
Yeah.
Right. And we would have constant communication and conversations about what do we need as a team so that we both can win. Yeah. And, while I was successful in my softball career, and while I played against and with many different girls, while somebody might have been really good over there on a different team, we might not have worked that great together.
Right.
Right. And we had to figure out, and it was about understanding what works well together,
Yeah.
right? At one point, one of my friends said, relationships just shouldn't be that hard.
Mm.
Um,
Right.
because naturally, and when I was with teams or when I'm with people where we just naturally work together very well and it's just very cohesive and we gel,
Mm-hmm.
it just shouldn't be that difficult to the point where we have to constantly say, okay, I need you to change this, that, and the third
Right.
about you to make it work. It should just be, we're just naturally working and it works together like it would on a very successful team. I don't know if y'all have watched the Michael
Last
Jordan
dance. Uh-huh. Yeah.
documentary, The Last Dance. But it's just like when teams work together, it might take work on the
Yeah.
back end, but like everyone is cohesive and can work together. And I think in relationships, when you're with the right, it might not always be
Mm-hmm.
about commitment. It might be about, like, because some people can be very committed to a relationship. It's just maybe not that one, maybe not
The
the
one
one
you're
that
in.
you're
Yeah.
in, because it's very difficult for them to compromise and change so many things to make
And
it
I think
work.
that goes into a
So,
couple of things. So you're right. I think people wanting to evaluate before they start signing up to be in a relationship is, are you really ready for that kind of commitment? Because a whole
mhm,
lot comes with that. And I agree with what you said about things. One, I think some things should just be natural in a relationship. Like some, the
mhm,
chemistry, just the effort, being around each other. It's certain
right,
core things I should not have to force.
Right.
And
right,
so you
right,
find yourself in
right.
situations, I know I did, in my recent dating years, like even going out with guys, like, and literally sitting there looking at this man like, I guess I can get past your receding hairline. Or, or I guess I can get past this man knuckles stay ashy. Like, you sitting there like, especially physical things,
Yeah.
as you get older, sometimes you try to just like, I'm gonna push through.
Push
Yeah,
through.
I can, like, people can start to
Right,
look
right.
better when you spend more time with them.
Right.
So,
Right.
so
Or your eyes are just
yeah,
wonderful.
so you start to look at all those things, but I think certain things should be natural. But I do think, and this really stood out to me about the relationship check-ins, because you're right. I don't think that you should sit down once a month to tell me all the shit I need to change about myself or things that I need to
Yeah.
get
Right.
together. Like this all the shit you've been doing
Mhm.
wrong. So let me have a sit down with you and tell you about it. I think that
Mhm.
because as people, like one thing I'm trying to get into, I did many years ago, was yoga. So, say over time, this is gonna be like a new hobby for me. It'll be something like, say, if we doing our monthly check-ins, and I'm like, all right, so at 8 o'clock in the morning, I need for you to not wake up blasting, rap music, because
Right.
I'm downstairs trying to zen. Like, we got to switch up our. That's something new that we've been doing. So I think it's like minor things that you have to talk about, and even sometimes big life changes, because in relationships and being very honest, people tend to. You may have a life event happen, say something happens to a parent, or someone may get ill, or even things like somebody might gain weight, and people don't like to talk about stuff like that.
No, that's a sensitive topic.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it is. But I'm like,
It's a
it
sensitive
is. But I
topic.
feel like, as my partner said, we have been together for 10 years, and you've been doing good, we've been doing good, and all of a sudden I'm just starting to see you just letting yourself go. Like,
Yeah.
we got to talk about this. So, I think it's good, because I
Right.
actually had a partner one time. Let me tell y'all, this is why, I'm so glad that the Lord blocked this their relationship from flourishing. And I said something to him along the lines of, I would like to start doing, I don't think I called it a relationship check-in, but it was something of the sort. And he said something to me along the lines of like, nah, let's just wait till shit go wrong, and then we can talk about it then.
Ooh.
And I was
Ooh.
about to say, because sometimes that tests the maturity of a man
Oh yes.
or a boy,
Yes.
Yeah.
because he's a boy, he's not a man. I think that if you say this to a potential long-term partner and
Mm-hmm.
he gives you a blank stare, that right there lets me know everything I need to
Know
know,
about you,
because I don't have time to raise you.
or to try to figure
Right.
out what you're thinking.
Right. And I spent
Right.
quite, I mean, in my last relationship, trying to fit a square into a round hole,
Yeah.
and just trying to jam it and force it, and nothing worked.
Didn't work
So,
well together.
right. And I feel like you can have those check-ins, but yes, it has to be natural.
Yeah.
Like it can't be, now I have to put a football playbook up on the screen
Yeah.
for
So
you every month. Like that, no. Nobody,
I gotta put on an
like,
ESPN
life is
ticker.
too short, and this coronavirus or quarantine has taught, like, life is too short.
Yeah, has given perspective to so much
Yeah,
that you cannot waste your time with these people anymore.
at all.
So, do you all think that you could be with somebody that loves you less than you love them? That you love more, ultimately?
No.
You said that real
No.
quick.
No.
Why is that? Why could you not? What is? How does that show? How does that even? What does that even look like in a relationship? Somebody loving you less. It probably was your last damn relationship.
Hello, there it goes. There
and
it is.
and because I know it's never going to work out. Because then you're going to make me, and that's why I said it's so important to love yourself first.
Yeah.
Because you have to value yourself enough to know, well, hey, I'm giving more, or I'm showing love more than you are.
Yeah.
And what does that look like for me moving forward and for our relationship as a whole? Like, no.
So, based on what Shana just said, Morgan, why do you think you couldn't be with somebody who, loves you less than you love them?
Ultimately, I just love myself too much at this point.
I know that's right.
I've gone through the turmoil of realizing that I had lost myself and not loved myself as much as I should. And now I'm in a space where it's like I'm really good with just me loving myself. And so to have someone else in my life who doesn't love me at least as much as I love myself, or at least can meet the expectations that I have for anyone in my life, then I can't, then I don't have time for it. I just don't have time. I
Or
ain't got
no energy for it.
I don't
It
have
makes perfect
energy.
sense.
Yeah.
I, and I want to ask you, I'm sorry.
Good.
Let me talk a little bit about, loving yourself, because you said a few profound things, especially what stands out to me is like loving myself and having the capacity to have something left over for you. Because I got to make sure my love tank is filled first. What has helped you, or how did you get to that place in your life? Because I think that's something the listeners need to hear, because I would say half of the battle of a lot of relationship turmoil that people allow themselves to go through is because they don't love themselves enough.
Yeah.
So, what helped you to get to that space?
I think, like I've said, just losing myself and having to look at myself in the mirror. Like I gave my all to my previous marriage, as I feel like I should have. But there were many red flags that I just ignored, that I think a lot of people ignore.
Yeah.
And in that, you lose yourself. You lose who you are to the core. And I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, okay, wait a minute. Like, why did I put myself secondary to someone else, as though I wasn't enough just by myself?
Right.
And then taking the time to really look within to say, okay, who am I and who am I going to stand on from here on out? Like, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
And so to be able to do that inner work and that interpersonal work, and shed some tears and some nights of sadness, and
Yeah.
recognizing what I've done and what I won't allow, has allowed me to love myself to a capacity that, I realize, like, I can't pour into anyone else as much as I want to if I don't have enough within myself, right? Like, if
Or
we're on
for
the
me.
plane and the plane is going down, they tell you got to save yourself first before you save someone
Right.
else. So I've realized, like, and I've got to figure out, and I've got to live my life in a manner where I can pour into myself and then have some left over. And I only have some left over for those who can pour into me.
Yeah.
Right. So that we can balance the scales. Right. I
Yeah.
can't keep pouring into everybody without getting poured back into. So,
Absolutely. It has to be a balanced scale. So,
mhm.
what would you all say for people, that may be listening to this and kind of thinking like, I might have a little bit of imbalance going on over here that I didn't realize. What should somebody do if they find out they're in that situation where they realize, like, I've been giving more and this person been giving back to me?
Well, I have, raised a hand for the class. I have recently left that type of situation where I was the one making all the compromise. And, because I was racing, to get the ring, whatever that means. But I was the one that, put that person first and like saying, oh, you want to live in a certain area? I don't want to live in this area. And I wasn't being honest with myself.
Right.
But since I love that person so much, I was willing to compromise. Like, oh, well, maybe in 10 years we'll move.
Yeah.
Knowing.
Being hopeful, knowing
Right.
the truth.
Right.
No,
Never
we
moving.
never gonna move.
Yeah.
It's never probably gonna happen. And like getting into certain even job situations where I wasn't working in my passion just to stay in the area for the relationship.
Yeah.
And everything it started off with, for the relationship, I am going to do X, Y, and Z, fill in the blank. And then all of a sudden it was like, wait a minute. Now, stop. Like, you're making yourself miserable.
Right.
And what is this person doing?
Yeah.
Not
letting you make yourself miserable.
Right.
Like his life will not change.
Yeah.
I mean, but my life has been compromised, and like everything that I'm doing is different. And you know, he can go out, walk out his door, and keep it moving, and I have to figure out everything. And I feel like if you're in that type of situation, you really need to reevaluate what you're doing, because you know, if this person decides to do something different, then you're the one that has to make all the changes.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going through actually right now. And it's a transitional period. It's hurtful, but and you know, I feel like I have a little bit let myself go, because you know,
pouring so much into him.
Yeah, you get down on yourself and like, well, why doesn't this person see me as enough?
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing all those things.
We've all been there.
You just really have to evaluate situations.
Yeah. And you have to, I think, do what you did. You have to make the sometimes tough decision to leave. And the fortunate thing I always say about any kind of breakup, we are always going to be okay. It will take time. But you would say eventually comes eventually. And you always get there, because I've been in the same situation more times than I like to admit, where I was bending over backwards, and it was very clear almost from the beginning that this person is not willing to, or doesn't have the capacity to, or just plain does not want to do what I am doing for him. But I'm going to stay, because maybe he'll wake up one day and miraculously see me for the valuable woman that I already know I am. But I'm not showing that to him, nor am I making him step up to the plate. And then you wind up in a situation where sometimes when you leave, you know, they allegedly get it together. But I don't even want a situation like that where I have to leave to make you open up your eyes.
Oh, no.
You know, for the value that I hold. So.
Unless it's immediately you playing some Josie talking about, baby, I'm begging, baby, I'm begging, baby. We not going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It goes nowhere. So I think in those situations, if it is imbalanced like that, I think you can probably go back and listen to about 50 other episodes. We talked about it on, but I think I'm not going to say you have to walk out the door immediately, but you do have to evaluate, and you have to have some honest conversation with yourself. And it's more so having it with yourself, not even with your partner.
Oh, no, because they're going to confuse you.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Gaslight you.
Yes.
Manipulate you.
Right.
Yes.
Like, what do you need to see to hold on? Just give me a little more time.
Right. Because it's great for them. Because it's great for them. They're like, wait, well, I don't want this to end, because you're compromising everything. You're making my life so much easier. Because you're doing everything for me. But you know what? Don't be lying. Your intuition. Your intuition be knowing.
I just learned what that was like a year ago. I'm like, oh, that's what that is.
That's what that is.
them ain't butterflies. That's anxiety. You know.
And I also think if that person's future or idea of a future doesn't align with your goals, like I said, with my past situation, I wanted to move somewhere else. I just pictured like hosting dinner parties and, you know, doing fun things. And this person, you know, is like always wants to be home, really doesn't like social things. So you just have to, I feel like from the get-go, I probably knew, but I was just like, well, this is a really nice guy.
Yeah. Right.
And he might be.
And you stop there.
He might be. He might be.
Right. He's single. He don't have no kids. He got a good job. Okay, well, maybe we need to make this work. And actually, I've talked to other women, you know, to kind of see, like, reassess, because at first my intuition was saying, you know, keep doing you, sis. Like, you will meet somebody else. And maybe sometimes older unmarried women would say to me, and not saying anything's wrong with that, but they'll say, well, you can always find a job, you can always do this. But what is that saying? That's like reiterating you need to compromise.
Yeah, you.
Right.
You. It's back to me. What about him?
Right. Like, this man had a job where he could do whatever he wanted to do anywhere.
Right.
And yet you are unwilling to do anything for me.
Yeah.
So
to meet me in the middle of the road.
Right.
Definitely have to evaluate that. That's so many situations we wind up in like that, where we are, or somebody is telling us, yeah, you can find a job, you can do this, you can do that, do what's best for him, it'll work out,
right,
down the road. Give him a little more time,
right.
That kind of deal. And
a couple years later, he still need more time.
Look,
like, oh no,
time.
Not okay. So why do y'all think people stay in those kinds of situations though? Because we have to be able to eventually move on from them. What keeps us stuck there?
I think the fear of not finding somebody else. I think the fear of being alone, and the fear of, like you said, Shana, like, oh, he got a good job, he ain't got no kids, this, that, and the third, and we keep those things in the forefront of our minds as though no one else can have those attributes,
right?
Or no one else can fulfill our needs in the same manner or even better, and we think this is as good as it's going to get. And there's too many. The statistics are showing that I might not get anyone. This might be the best that I can get. So I don't want to mess this up being ungrateful.
Yeah, being ungrateful.
I think it's being making fear-based decisions. And sometimes, especially with a certain demographic of men, we think we found a 4-leaf clover.
Yeah,
or a unicorn.
Right.
And we have to stop up. I mean, because we are all, like you said, there are other men who fit that mold, but fear has taught us, well, hold on tight, because you don't know when the next one's gonna come around. And that's why, I mean, I know we've said this time and time again in other parts of this conversation, but it is all about loving yourself and just knowing that, hey, if that little tug in my stomach is saying something ain't right, it probably usually isn't.
It usually isn't.
And you just have to know that is not meant for you, and what God wants for your life, you will have.
Yeah, it'll eventually come. And I think that, like you said, once you get to that space where you love yourself and you are not making fear-based decisions, it allows you to move completely different. Because I would say the past 2 or 3 years for me, when I meet somebody that is, quote unquote, that 4-leaf clover, like, I'm not impressed. I'm like, I appreciate you for being who you are, but I'm not impressed. I mean, I'm not excited. I'm not thinking, oh, I just hit the lottery. I'm just kind of still moving on, navigating as I do. And I'll let you know that I'm interested, but I'm not going to move and shake any differently just because you come in my life until you give me a real reason to really fail to acknowledge. Like, I'm not going to stop dating other people. I'm not going to, just because I found you, put every other guy to the side.
Oh yeah, that's over.
Yeah, make it number one. It's like, no, I'm going, and you, whether you know it or not, you may see me out on a date with somebody else. Oh, I thought we had.
Be like, well, let me introduce you to my friend.
Right. Because I'm still, this is draft season,
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
Every day.
Exactly.
Every day. You have to figure it out. But that is amazing. And I didn't, so many times growing up, you've always heard people say, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. And it wasn't until I was able to really tap into that. And I think it comes with age, growth, and maturity.
It does.
To really get it. And I was like, once I got it, I was like, oh, these men just don't even know what they about to sign up for if they want to come over here. Because I was just like, my willingness to deal with the BS was like at a negative. It's like, no, first red flag, you out, brother. It's out. It's like, it's over.
The bar has been picked up off the floor.
Exactly. I was like, I'm not going to sit here and be hopeful, know, that you're going to get it together. Like, my basketball coach always, I said this before, he say, practice so you will know the ball is going to go in. Don't be out there hoping the ball going to go in. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Back.
why you're
Yes.
not gonna come around me. You know, your lack of practice, then you're gonna practice with me, and I'm gonna be hopeful that you're gonna get your shit together. No, I gotta know that. Like I always say, I don't want a man that I have to put the puzzle pieces together. If I'm already put
Right.
together, I need you to be put together. And I feel like I'm
Mm-hmm.
never gonna ask you more so to do anything for me that I can't do for myself, or be have your a life at a level that I'm not already at myself. So if I'm asking you to just come to me with an even playing field, and then I wind up still giving you more than you giving me, then no, this is not it. You know.
And I think
Right.
that will eventually change the caliber of men that will approach you.
Oh yeah, once they know that it's like,
Absolutely.
yeah, once they get it, you know, because word gets around real easily, or they'll tap out. Just sometimes men tend to just stick around just for the sake of sticking around because they may eventually get the pee.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they realize like, oh, she's serious about all that shit she said. So yeah,
Right.
I'm
They
gonna
might
stop calling her.
they might stink walk back out.
Right, look.
Like, it's not for me.
Yeah, like this. No, she's not it. I thought,
Yeah.
I
I
thought
can't play with this.
no,
They
not
can
at
tell.
all. So
They can tell up front just by how we carry ourselves. The women who love themselves and have a certain standard, you can tell up front. Up
yeah,
front.
it gives you a different kind of ammunition. Because I was dealing with somebody that said to me one day, like, "Yeah, I'm just waiting for the day you gonna ask me that question. You know, what are we? What are we doing?" And I was like, "Well,
If
MF,
you waiting,
if you gonna be waiting a long time." I said, "I don't ask that question no more."
right?
I was like,
What we gonna do?
you know, and we all been that desperate, girl. Like, so what are we? What's it?
Right.
I
Mm-mm.
know what we are. We friends. So
We friends. What's
I
up?
don't need to ask you
Nothing more,
nothing.
nothing less.
Right.
This what it is.
I answered my own question. Why would I have to ask you that, sir? Like,
Right.
do you want to ask me what are we? I think that's what it is. You want to ask me. So you
Right.
say how I'm moving. Oh, she moving different. Let me make sure my spot's secure. You know.
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to. So I think that just overall it's a situation where I don't think is so I want to ask this question before we go over to the next segment. Ultimately, overall, do you all think that advice, because I think I've heard it from older women possibly say it to younger women, like
Mm-hmm.
your man should love you more than you love him. Do you all think that's advice we just need to get rid of? Or do we need to keep it around? Because now you did in the beginning gave great advice on initially. So maybe we need to add that on to the back of it. Your
Mm-hmm.
man should love you more than you love him initially.
I think I'll say this because yes, I do hear it a lot from older women,
Mm-hmm.
and times have changed significantly.
This is true.
Compared to like, because before, older women, it's like, look, I can take care of the house and I can provide children, right, and I
Yep.
can take care of this household. Now women can do so much more,
Right,
right, and
right,
it truly is a partnership,
right.
and we can really sit down and have these conversations of what need, like I said, like what needs are you bringing to the table,
Yeah.
or what needs are you helping with, in so many different areas.
What value
So
do you
I
add?
think, yeah, I think initially, but I think eventually it could probably fall off once there's communication,
Yeah.
because grown men know how to communicate.
Yeah.
And as we communicate what our needs are and how we're meeting them, I think it levels out.
Yeah, because it
I think
should
it
level
levels
out
out.
to that partnership I think we talked about earlier. Because I do, it's relationships are like a business and it's a
Mm-hmm.
partnership. And I know I want to feel like I got a partner in crime. Like we got each
Exactly.
other's back. You know, we Batman and Robin.
Exactly.
This is what it is. So I agree with it. I think that the women just have to switch it up. And then the last thing I want to say on that, I just think about from back in, say, our grandparents' days to now. Yeah, like you just mentioned, the mom was the caretaker. They took care of the homemaker. They took care of the home, things like that. They cook, clean, all that. Now I'm going to work just like you, and I'm probably
Right.
here cleaning up, doing all this other stuff.
Dealing with
Yeah, bullshit. And I can pay this
Right.
mortgage by myself, so don't play with me. So it's
Right.
like, so I'm making just as much money as you, so you don't have
Right.
anything that you can just really hold over my head like that.
And even if he is making more money, whoever, because women sometimes are the breadwinners, or a lot of times I find are the breadwinners as well. But it shouldn't be a contest.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're in a real partnership, it's not gonna feel like one.
Right.
People that want to hold that over your head, then you know something is not equally yoked there.
Right. And you could last 10 years, and then 10 years later, the
tables could easily turn.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
Yep. And on that note, we'll be right back with the Living Single segment. We are now introducing a new segment to the podcast. This is called Living Single. We want you guys to send in any of your relationship questions, if you need advice, or if you just want to give feedback on the show on a topic that we've discussed. Feel free to DM them on Instagram to Shana Montana, or you can inbox me on Facebook, Living Single, and we'll definitely be touching on these topics on each episode going forward. Now this brings us to the resolution segment, and this is just going to be a quick roundtable discussion where we share our final thoughts on the subject matter. So, ladies, I want to ask, what do y'all think we have to do to no longer really live by the notion that your man should love you more than you love him? Or I'll say, what I want to ask this question, I want to switch it up. What do y'all think we have to do to get our women back to having that self-love that we talked a lot about this episode? Because I think that's what it comes down to. What do you think women have to do to get back to that, to place more value on themselves than they do on securing a relationship and sticking around possibly for somebody who does not value them as much as they value themselves?
I think sometimes that comes with time.
Okay.
And sometimes people just know, like they just have that confidence, but not everyone. I think it boils down to how confident you are within yourself, how much you value yourself. And sometimes you know, but your heart has to catch up.
Yeah.
And I don't know, sometimes it's through experience, or it's through, learning from some of the other relationships that you have seen.
Yeah.
But I just kind of think that comes through your own personal
journey.
Yeah.
And sometimes your failures. I think
it's mainly from your failures. I know for me, I'm like, next, like, no, we're not doing this anymore. Right. Because this is, no. It can be a cycle if you let it be.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be.
Right.
You got to end it somewhere. What would you say to that, Morgan?
I think for me, when it comes to loving myself and that confidence, like that was something that I personally had to work on throughout my life from a young age, of just like, what do I love about myself? Who am I naturally? And how am I going to rock with this? How am I going to love this and be cool with those who do love it and those who don't? I can't expect everyone to love it. Right. And I got to be cool with those who don't. I got to be cool with the fact that some other people don't. So doing that personal work of being by yourself and really digging deep, it might hurt. It might feel really bad. It might it's going to take some time. It's going to take some deep interpersonal work of really figuring out who you truly are so that you can move in a manner that's very confident and sure of yourself. I think once you get there, you can then decipher and recognize, like, all right, this person don't mess with me, and that's cool. This person does, and be okay with it, with whoever is supposed to accept you.
Right.
So,
and I think I agree with what both of you all said. I think through experiences, through the failures, through the journey, through the time and maturity, and making a very conscious and intentional effort to do it, and finding out what that looks like and feels like for you, because that self-love is different. The journey is different for everybody,
right?
But you have to be able to tap into it. And I think you'll know when you're there, when you start to encounter the BS, and immediately you're like, I'm not even going to play this game with you. Like, you have no energy for it. You're able to easily walk away from anything you know is not for you. Yep. And it just overall, even outside of relationships, it just makes life so much easier. It allows you to protect your peace on a different level. And that's something I'm so serious about these days. Like, family, friends, foe, I don't care, the dog, cat, whatever. They come around me with some foolishness, then I have nothing for it. So
I'm too pretty for it.
Yeah, look, what's Demetria Lucas say? Don't waste your pretty. And I definitely I definitely can appreciate that. So on that note, let's give yourselves a round of applause for a wonderful episode. It was so awesome, such a powerful conversation. Again, Morgan, so glad to have you on. And again, tell the people tell the people the listeners your information again.
Sure. Yeah, you can find me at morganbullock.com. I'm on Instagram at morganbullock_, on Twitter at morganbullock_, and on YouTube at Morgan Bullock. That's MORGANBULLOCK. Morgan, like Morgan Freeman, Bullock, like Sandra Bullock. I'm not related to either, but that's a good way to remember.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And Shana, do you want to share any of your information where the people can find you?
Well, I am on Instagram, but I don't post regularly. But I'm about to change that. And my Instagram name is Shana Shaee. That's SHANASHAE.
All right. We can find you on IG. So again, thank you both for coming on to the show. Your opinions are always valued and appreciated. And we
Thank you
will
for
be right
having
back. You are very welcome. And we will be right back with the Montana Minute.